One way that we can perform geospatial analysis without purchasing expensive software is to perform it with R or Python. So in this technology demonstration, we're going to show how we can do geospatial analysis in R several different ways. So we'll start with loading and doing some basic analysis of some data and look at loading maps from Google Maps and then using ggplot to layer data on top of those maps. We'll also use other libraries such as SF and Leaflet, and we will practice creating an interactive map with TMap as well. So if we were to load in some data, for example, we have some data from the squirrel census in New York in Central Park. We can read that data in, and then we can format it however we need. In this case, the date field was not pulling in correctly, so we had to instruct R how to format that particular field. We may want to know right before we start our analysis what the data looks like. If there's a lot of missing values, we can use this library Amelia and this function mismap to get this heat map of missing values. And we can see that some of the variables have a lot of missing values and won't be good for future analysis. We can also do some basic histograms. For example, I looked at which days had observations. You can see there were some days where there were no observations of squirrels made, as well as squirrels per block of analysis. And then the frequencies for primary fur color, which are black, cinnamon, and gray, and then for the highlighted fur colors as well. So it's always good to look at your data a little bit before you jump right into your visualization so you can figure out where you might have the best luck trying out different correlations or looking for deeper dive. So anyway, we're going to start with loading maps from Google Maps. If you would like to do this, you will need to go to the Google API console, create a new project, and create some credentials to get an API key. Once you do that, you can use that key with this code to register it, and then you can get a map using the latitudes and longitudes, and you can select the map type, terrain, or you can do other map types as well, and set the zoom level as well. So when you do that, you get base layer maps that look like these black and white gray maps underneath. And then these just show some examples of how you could then use ggplot on top of those maps. So ggplot can do heat maps. It can do basic plotting. You can create side-by-side graphs. There's a lot of things that you could do. Pretty much anything that you could do with ggmaps or with ggplot, you could do with maps. But if we don't want to use Google because we don't want to pay for the API, which it's free up to a certain point, but if it gets too many hits, they do charge you. We could, or maybe we have shape files that we'd like to upload to do some more advanced geospatial analysis. Then we can move into libraries like SF and Leaflet. So these libraries can pull in shape files, and in this example, we just create some data points and then we place them into a simple features object, and then we can plot those points on a leaflet map. So we get a pretty basic map, but this is about as simple as it gets with these libraries. However, they do, like I mentioned, pull in different types of geospatial files like shape files so that you can do more advanced analysis, but the coding will get more complex and be less intuitive than, say, like using ggplot. Another really cool library is TMap, which can do interactive maps, which I'm going to demonstrate for you in R. So right now, we have loaded in a shapefile. We're going to just create some random data for each state just so that we can generate a heat map that looks interesting. And then we're going to set the TMAP mode initially to plot, so a non-interactive map. And when we do this, we can pull an Esri base map, and we get this. So a heat map of the US. However, with TMAP mode, you can set the mode to view, and then when you run that, you get an interactive map now. So as you can see, I can now move my map around, zoom in. If I were to add more layers, I could do a lot more with this. I could also see the values for each of my states. So right away you can see from this library a ton of functionality, and we've really just done some very basic stuff, simple code. So these are some really great options for doing geospatial analysis in R.